You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV Smash After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV Smash After Show.
Hey, everybody. Bing is for doing! We're doing another episode of Smash. That kind of intro, how can you not really sell it? It's season 2, episode 8, The Bells and Whistles. I am Tamara Berg. I'm joined in studio by Kristin Carole.
Hey, guys.
Kendra Kabasele. Hello. And Sarah Mendoza.
Hello.
We've also got John Comerford sitting in the hot seat.
Hello.
and Marissa Serafini.
What's up, guys?
Booth. How's it going?
All right.
I want to just say I just blanked on all of your names a hair before I said them, but I got them all. All right, tonight we had some setups, we had some hookups, and
Whoa.
we had some conflicts. So let's talk about it. First of all, I would like to talk about the love triangle that is developing with Derek, Jimmy, and Karen. And I think I would like to first ask if any of our viewers out there think that Jimmy and Karen should be together, because there is quite the consensus on our panel anytime they get even within the vicinity of each other. Am I right, girls? And guys?
Yes. Yeah. Gross.
Yeah, pretty much what we
That's
hear
great.
in the studio where we're watching is no, anytime they get close to each other.
It's just wrong.
Well, she
On
was
so many
clearly
levels.
making a play for him with the whole T-shirt ploy, because you don't steal it's like pulling a girl's braids. You don't
Oh, yeah.
steal a boy's T-shirt unless you want to have him.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
It's just making Karen look so naive, in my opinion.
And a bit needy, I
Yeah.
think.
Like desperation.
Yes.
Is that the only guy that you think you can be with right now or want to be with?
Well, and I remember last week we were talking about her being attracted to his talent, right? So what? It's just she just wants him. Is that what it is? Anybody?
Again, yeah, she just seems to be in love with her whole life has been musical theater, and he's so great at that, and so she thinks that can make a relationship, and you can't just have your one common interest. You need other things to back that up, and hopefully we'll see later on that she discovers that Jimmy actually is a jerk, and even though like his character in the musical is flawed, because it's a musical, it's
Sure,
great,
you have
it's
to have
lovely, and it's
conflict,
singing, and
right?
so she's fallen in love with him in the musical and not him
Right.
outside of it.
Right.
And I suppose
frustrating.
there could be a fine line too between admiration and affection.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of respect for somebody for their talent, it could be, the lines could be blurred.
Sure, it can be a little
those
hard to
feelings.
discern what it is that you're attracted to.
I think
Right.
also we don't know like what her dating past is, except that she dated Dev for a really long time, and who
Whom
knows?
I just want to say I miss.
I do miss him
Dev.
now, even though he was a cheater. But besides that,
Well, but before that, he was just
Yeah.
nice to look at. and-
he was nice to her. Like at least up
Yes.
until that point with Ivy, he was a nice guy, and you
Yes.
cheered for him.
yes.
You don't cheer for I don't feel like you cheer for Jimmy.
No. And in fact, we were all horrified when the show opened with them being in bed together.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God Kendra saved it by saying, "No, it's a dream sequence. It's a dream sequence."
And she was right this time,
I was
yeah.
hopeful.
Well, you put it out there, and your dream came true. Except
Next
that it
week.
got dashed in the end.
Yes. Because Karen's still dreaming about him.
Right.
And he is too, but he just can't make a move.
Right. So he can't make the move because
Derek
just because of the Derek threatening him.
Yeah.
So what makes you why did he decide to make the move in the end?
Also, I think that he's a little insecure about it. I don't think he's been like 100% certain that she has a thing for him back. Like he might have an inkling because they shared that like kiss or whatever.
Right.
But she's never really said it because she hasn't had the courage to until tonight's episode. So maybe he didn't have the confidence, even though he plays like he's such a confident guy.
Right.
He didn't have enough to actually do something about it until she blatantly said or asked him, "Do you like me?" You know, to
Like
give him
me,
a little
like me?
opening there.
That all reminded me of high school where you go up to somebody.
Yeah.
Do you like I feel like she should have had a note passed to Anna, that's passed to Kyle, that's passed
Right.
to
The box.
Jimmy.
Check the box. Do you like
Yeah,
it?
yes or no, maybe.
And then
Yeah.
Derek would intercept.
Maybe.
Yeah, Derek would
Like
suddenly
passing
take it.
notes. Yeah.
Again, with her seeming so like innocent and naive to me, like it doesn't feel like she's got any game at all in the dating world.
Well, and it could be that she dated Dev for a really long time, and she doesn't have any. She doesn't have good
No practice.
skills that because she had to ask him in that really awkward way. Do you like me?
Right.
Instead of making assumptions or value judgments based on what he was doing. She was clearly flirting with him through the whole thing, but maybe she is a bit immature with regard to dating.
Yes.
Because I've known people like that who, their dating formative years were with one person, and then that relationship was over, and they were a mess. Didn't know how to because there aren't classes. Well, there probably are now.
Well, maybe
but
now,
there,
yeah.
but back when Karen and Dev got together, there weren't classes. So
You should just go online, take one of those quizzes. Does he like me?
I feel like she would have already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think is interesting about this whole triangle is they've got the conflict on two levels between Derek and Jimmy, with them having these, you don't understand my musical, you're wrong, you're not making good acting choices, that kind of thing, and simmering underneath that is that they both want Karen. So I would like to put it out to the panel. Do you guys think that the conflict with regard to the show with Hit List, are those legitimate conflicts, or are they making them up to make it be a competition between the two of them so that they can have their duel on stage and the winner gets Karen? What do you guys think?
I think they're legitimate because it does seem like even when Tom was sitting down with Derek that this isn't, and we obviously see from Derek from the start that he does have his own ideas, and when people go against him, he fights for it. And with Jimmy, even I think it's a little bit territorial with I mean that both it's an underlying thing, but I think overall I think they'd be like that anyways, kind of fighting. I just think it's maybe a little bit harder because Karen's there. There's more to it, but they're both really hard heads, and they don't want to change their opinion on anything. And so not only are they attacking each other with a girl, now it's also a show, and Jimmy thinks it's his and it's Derek's vision.
Well, and in addition to being hard heads, I think they're both at least they, Derek has a very well proven track record that he's a, famous and sought after director. And Jimmy, although starting out new in his career, is obviously very confident about what he does and is very clear about the choices that he's making. Like when they were talking about basically the subject of the show, where is it coming from? What's the motivation? What's the, better word, you writer man, but so as you say, they both seem to be very hard-headed, but also because they come from a place of confidence,
right?
And so maybe that's part of what's getting in the way with the relationship challenge. Go ahead.
And also because they are so much alike, Tom points out to Derek, hey, that's how you were when you started out, right? So I suppose it's sort of like looking into a mirror when they're dealing with each other, and they know that's a fault they have in themselves, and that must be annoying.
Yes.
So I think that's what raises the tension. I agree that the conflict within the show is real. I think that it's just their personality, but I definitely think it's more amplified because the stakes are higher, because they want to impress Karen deep down inside,
right? And
win her heart overall.
Right. So is everyone still on board that they want her with Derek, even though Derek was kind of the bad guy that most of us hated last season? Now this season he's becoming less of a jerk.
If it has to be somebody that's in the show now, it's Derek.
Okay.
But I almost wish there was like somebody else too.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm there. I don't want her to be with either one of them.
Yeah, I
No?
think she should
Yeah.
be single.
She almost needs
She
some
needs to
alone time. As
stay,
much as I
yeah.
love Derek, I think she needs to be by herself and get her ideas in order. Although it was so cute when they were talking on the stoop, and it was just like, just kiss, because there's way more chemistry between them than her and Jimmy.
Yes.
Every time I see her and Jimmy, I think they're just making it up, you know.
Yes, yes. Kendra, what were you going to say about that?
Yeah, that she should stay single.
Really?
Yeah. I'm over Jimmy.
Girl needs a
and-
little alone time, huh?
Yeah.
Especially when she's
I
still on the
mean-
show with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's
a
gonna
recipe
come
for
from this.
disaster right
Yeah.
there.
Maybe
Nothing.
once they're finished.
Well, but is it also a bad idea to be sleeping with the director
Yes.
of the show that you're in?
Yes.
Ask,
Okay.
Let's ask
Horrible.
Even though
Eileen.
Derek
I know.
finds it his regular part of his occupation, his
Sure, yeah, that-
side job
I know.
is dating the star.
Yeah, I still don't think it's a good idea. Even if he
I
finds
wouldn't
it to-
either.
He seems like he's holding back though this time. Like he's learned from, I guess, all the lawsuits.
Or maybe he respects Karen more, whereas with the others.
Well, because she's one of the few who said no, at least for some time.
Yeah.
You know?
She's still saying no, that she hasn't slept with him yet.
Right. No, right. But there's definitely the challenge going on there.
Yeah. I like how when they were saying goodbye on the doorstep.
Yes.
As Karen was walking away, she kind of turned back for a second because it made you feel like she at least is
needy.
questioning that option.
So even though she wants to
Yeah.
know, Jimmy, do you like me? She is kind of still considering
Yeah.
Derek.
Because maybe it's just not even a possibility in her mind. Like she has such, good principles that she won't even go there. But when she she wouldn't date a director is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Like Ivy did. Because she saw all that mess happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe when she sees that Derek may have some feelings, it kind of sparks her interest a little bit. And I think we saw that in that little moment where she kind of hesitated and looked back, but then she went ahead and went inside.
My psychological analysis. I think she's still dealing with the breakup with Dev. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I think she just wants to be wanted. So if
So it
it's
doesn't matter who.
attention from Derek.
It's whoever is in front of
I
her.
mean, she's narrowed it down. I don't think she cares about Kyle or
Right.
or Sam.
Right, because she's so used to being in a relationship that
Yeah.
she's just grasping at whoever it is.
Yeah, I think so.
I
That's
don't
Well, it's
a
kind of
plausible.
telling that she pushed the button and said, "Yeah, come on up."
Yeah.
whoever.
Whoever it
Thinking
is.
it was
exactly.
Derek.
She
yeah.
thought it
man.
was Derek.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
she was gonna be okay with him. I think the biggest thing she has to realize, or most people in any relationship, is if you're scared to talk to the person, which she is with Jimmy, it's not the right guy. I think you have to be comfortable with him. When she has a problem, who does she run to? She runs to Derek.
Right. Right.
Right, but I think with most crushes, it's like that. You've got the butterflies in your stomach.
Yes.
So, and I think that's what she has for Jimmy. Yeah.
So maybe it really is that the connection's not real, but she's interpreting it as butterflies, as Sarah would say. Hoping that there was
Maybe.
something real there. I would like to take a moment to thank our iTunes listeners. Thank you for downloading, and we would appreciate it if you can rate and comment, preferably positive comment. But also, one of the things that we've kind of instituted with some of our other shows is give us feedback on what you think the content of the show is. What is it that you like about Derek? And we've gotten a few great comments to that end with
Give us something you like about Jimmy.
right.
Let's be optimistic.
He's got a nice voice. We have
Yeah,
determined that
that's
already. But we really appreciate your ratings and your comments and all the downloads. We've got, how many is it?
20 million.
20 million downloads. Is that right, Marissa?
20 million a week.
20 million a week. That's insane. So you are part of that, and we really thank you for it. Do we have any comments that we wanted to mention this week specifically?
I think somebody
Ladies?
actually did mention on YouTube that Karen should be single.
Yeah.
If I saw that correctly. So whoever that is, you're shouted out.
Good work.
But yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. Probably a good idea for her. So let's move on to Tom. Tom, last week was having challenges with directing and has a new tactic this week, which is open door policy. Everybody, you can tell me what you think.
We'll be friends.
We're going to be friends, and I am going to mold to fit you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It
that
never
tactic,
works,
John.
It never works. He's great. And I like that they got him bouncing from one to left to right, up and down, but I don't know why he thinks this is even going to become close to being successful. It never does.
Well, and I found it a bit of an odd turn for him, because here's a guy who's a composer who obviously has strong opinions about his piece. He and Julia have had fights about things before, but then, all of a sudden, maybe it's just because he hasn't been a director before and has such a great relationship with Ivy that he decides, well, I could have that relationship with anybody on the show. And it's going to create really great opportunities and possibilities for all of us. But as we see, it doesn't really work out for him.
And you were talking about how it kind of makes Karen look naive, how she's approaching the whole dude. This makes him look completely naive. Like he hasn't been around enough shows and how to direct that he would think that this is even a possibility.
Right.
It makes him look completely inexperienced and silly.
Yes.
I think his goal more was also to be the anti-Derek, where he thought that everybody felt like they were being pushed around, and on top of it, you can tell Tom needs to be liked to an extent, and I think they made that a little bit more of a caricature this time than actually, like, I don't think he's that needy, but they made him a little bit more needy this episode with that.
Well, and then he had the added complication of Sam arriving back in town. We're actually watching the number that he did, our friend Leslie Odom Jr., who was with us on the phone last week. So Sam comes back into town, and Tom is clearly conflicted about it. We don't exactly know why Sam came back. Maybe he didn't like the show. Maybe he was missing Tom, because he was obviously the one who was really pushing them to be together, right? We remember that from last season.
Well, he was on a week break, is what they said, and so maybe just like a little break from the tour, and I think he was supposed to go back. But Tom offered him. Well, he got excited when he saw Sam, and upon hearing that Sam wasn't too happy, Tom kind of like ran away with that and thought, well, maybe I can put him back in the show so that he can stay, and maybe he was thinking about being back together with him.
Right.
And I just thought that was so, again, unrealistic for what I would think he would do. On top of what, telling the cast that to just like weigh in, and then it was so easy for him to do what they were saying. Right. Because I kind of thought of him as kind of a controlling type of person with his craft in all the other episodes from this season and last season. So now to be in a complete 180 from that was just so weird for me.
Well, one of the things that I thought was interesting about it was do we know how far they are from opening at this point? I mean, nobody's mentioned a calendar, have they? It is weeks?
I thought I heard weeks.
Because they're so strict with their scheduling that Eileen knew the exact number they were supposed to be rehearsing on a day. So one would think they'd be completely locked down with regard to script and music and blocking and choreography as well. And for Tom to think that all of a sudden he can just add in a number because he's the director, when he better than anyone would know how that would affect everything down the line and have a huge domino effect. Right. So, the thought of him being able to I'm just going to add a number because my boyfriend's in town, and not only am I going to add a number, I'm going to add a whole part, a new character.
I feel like it's such an unprofessional decision to do something just based on your emotions and really your personal life. He wants to give his boyfriend a job. Right. And that's all it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, apart from the fact that Sam's amazing. Right. But exactly. But still, you're right. They're almost there. They're supposed to be putting on the show.
Yeah, and that was just, wow, really? You can do that?
It was completely unprofessional. It just seemed, it seemed out of its character. Yeah. For not only him, but of the piece. And I'm just going, wow, I don't understand why they're doing this. And then it was such a quick turnaround. So it's like, let's go into Never Never Land and then come back in 50 minutes.
Well, and that is one of the criticisms that we've talked about with the show is that things come up and resolve very quickly. But the other thing about it, just from a storytelling standpoint, that I thought was kind of odd was they told Sam we can't put the number in the show twice in this episode.
Right.
So they're standing there as he arrives on the day to do his number, being Nat King Cole. And Julia says, Tom, you need to tell him we're not putting the number in. And Julia says to Sam, we're not putting the number in. And then, half an hour later, Tom says, Sam, we're not putting the number in. Was he deaf the first time?
I think because Julia made it sound like they were going to go talk about it. Like, oh, we'll be back.
Right.
And I don't know if she said stay put or whatever, but, I think.
But it was like the better part of a whole day that went by.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long was he standing there?
That's sort of my point.
They went to go visit Derek at the show and everything.
Yeah,
Sam's just still.
There were all kinds of things happening. What were you saying?
Here's another implausible flag for me. Why would Sam not be enjoying being the lead in Book of Mormon?
Well, he's probably.
I don't.
He's not a lead.
Point.
Though.
He's on. No, I think that's what they.
Well,
do you
but
remember?
he said he left for a number of reasons, so.
But I think he was alluding to, he thinks that Tom is trying to make a big gesture in hiring him into the show and making that commitment. I think that's what he meant with that statement.
So to go from being the lead in a touring show
to why is
he
he so unhappy being the lead in a touring Broadway musical? I just didn't get that either.
I've known people who've been in that situation who've wanted to quit their tour because of. A lot of times it's just have we all watched
The Road?
Exactly. Have we all watched the Making the Band or whatever those every one of those.
Wow, that's a throwback.
It's not that show. It's the other one that I'm talking about. We got together. We were young and naive as the
Behind the Music.
Behind the Music. That's the thing I'm thinking of. It's interpersonal conflict, and when you've got a lot of artists together, and then you've got the same sort of thing that's going on within all of New York and Broadway is simmered down into a small group of people who are touring from city to city to city to city. And so, a lot of times it's interpersonal conflict and, people not feeling appreciated or whatever it is. And,
it's a grind. If you're on the road that long, it's a grind.
Yeah.
And once you've done it, it's like, okay, I'm done. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
Well, and then have you guys seen Book of Mormon?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, because, there's only 2 really big leads and then a girl lead, and he couldn't play 2 of those, but all the other ones are kind of good supporting ones.
Yeah.
But
right.
I don't think, he's probably one of the bigger supporting characters. Maybe that's hard too.
Right.
Because there's nowhere for him to grow with it.
Well, and
there's
the
some
idea,
big numbers in there that are exhausting, and who knows.
Yeah, and the idea of coming back to New York, the city where you're based, where your man is, and being maybe not somebody who's going to be all through the show, but getting to play Nat King Cole or Sammy Davis Jr. or one of those kind of roles and be really featured, that's got to be awfully attractive.
Right. Well, I guess before he even was presented with that opportunity, I guess I just wanted to know, why are you having a bad time on the road at Book of Mormon? How could you?
Right.
It seems like a dream to me, that's why.
Yeah. Well, maybe it wasn't such a dream for
Maybe
him.
not.
Maybe it was a bit of a nightmare. Let's talk about Eileen. Clearly setting up some stuff that ended up paying off in the end. Talking to a publicist who was, the character name was Agnes, and I've got it here, her Daphne Rubin Vega, who is best known for playing Mimi Marquez in Rent on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
That's why her face looks familiar,
Yeah,
But we were all going, who is she? What is that? A bit of stage acting on TV, I felt like today. Did you feel that way, John?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that happens a lot on this show. We saw it a lot on season 1. People being prepared, because it's obviously Broadway actors are showing up on this show, and doing a little bit of the the large projecting, big facial expressions, presentational acting, which is required on stage and doesn't transfer as well to TV. So I was getting a little bit of the kind of, I wouldn't even say overacting, but just just a little big for TV. But she was very entertaining, being Agnes the publicist, talking to Eileen, who then goes to talk to Jamie Sheridan, right?
Yes.
who's playing a New York Times reporter because she needs to drum up
Richard
press.
Francis.
Yeah.
At the Times.
So she's getting a little, I don't know, desperate maybe.
Well, yeah, because they're not gonna have any butts in the seats because Derek would bring people to the theater. Tom does not, so they got to do something to bring up press.
Yes.
And all the press surrounding it right now is not very good, as they said.
Right. It sounded a little like Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They're playing off of.
Yeah. You're not getting much press, and what is
Bad.
not good.
I think that's still on Broadway, isn't it? I'm not even sure.
I believe it is. Yeah. I
Isn't
believe
it
it is. So Eileen doing some, getting some big ideas, having trouble with Tom. There are all kinds of things going on with her. And then we find out what her big idea is.
Kristin Carole.
I called it last week because they were talking about Marilyn's mother. If they bring back Ivy, it'd be perfect to bring back Ivy's mother, who could put butts in the seat, especially now that Derek's gone.
It's funnier when you say it.
Butts in the seats.
Well, and I see on the list of songs that we've got a song called "At Your Feet" coming up. It's not notified or it's not indicated which episode it's coming up in, but pretty soon because it's kind of next on the list. So Bernadette Peters back and singing. Pretty much awesome, right?
I love Bernadette Peters. She's great.
She is awesome.
She is. She's amazing. And I think she's very well cast as Ivy's mom.
Yeah.
Big fun for that.
That's a good story for the New York Times guy to put together, too.
It is. Right, exactly. Again, that will get butts in the seats and have something for people to talk about. Playing Gladys, who is... What is the character Gladys is? Does anybody know who Gladys is? Is that Marilyn's mother?
Yeah.
Is that Marilyn's mother?
I
Oh,
think
okay.
that has to
Got
be,
it. I
yeah.
got it. Well, then that makes sense. Perfect.
Her mom's Leigh Conroy.
Mm-hmm. And then we have, I want to talk about Sam when we get to his song, but then we have, Scott and Julia. Julia and Scott.
History. We get to learn the whole backstory.
Yes.
They were grad school buddies. And they were doing a play together, and he was the director, and she ditched him last minute for a better director,
For
Scott.
Mike Nichols.
Mike
For
Nichols,
goodness sake.
Mike Nichols.
who wouldn't, really?
I know, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't, and he says like, "Well, I wouldn't have done that." I go, "I don't know. You might have done that. You might have done that."
I think he's a big fat liar. I think he's living in dreamland to think that he wouldn't have done the same thing. But yeah, devastating for him. I have to say, I felt like her apology was excellent. I should have said this 15 years ago. I know it doesn't make any difference now. And then she puts it all out there and then just turns and walks away, not expecting him to forgive her.
Right.
She just said what she needed to, was very responsible, I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was calloused or something after her divorce or, that situation. So now she just kind of has nothing to lose. So she just puts it all out there. That's my...
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably very true.
And I kind of forgot for a little bit there how much she's been through in her divorce and with her family. So when Scott turned around and said, I'm sorry too that you had to go through that with your ex-husband or husband or whatever, I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She's been through a lot.
Yeah, because we haven't seen her have any real trauma this season yet, except for the conflict with Bombshell being off again and on again.
Okay, so but now that the apology and the salve of saying how sorry he was to hear about the whole divorce, do you think they're creating the way for
a romance?
Is that what we think?
That's what I think.
Well,
Anybody else?
Especially since we haven't seen Peter lately either.
Right.
He just ran off to London, I guess.
Right.
Or at
Girls?
least a friendship. A good friendship.
Kendra does not look. She's very wary looking right now. So she's not watching.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a relationship, like a romantic relationship developing. No, I think friendship. Yeah. Just.
Yeah. How much fun could that be?
Well,
Love triangle, Peter and Scott and Julia.
Just testing trust again.
Yeah.
And, rebuilding their friendship and maybe doing more work together. I don't know. It doesn't have to be exciting. There are other characters.
She doesn't need any more friends. She needs a love interest.
We don't see what's her name? Julia.
Yeah.
Deborah Messing singing much in the show. I think she
did
kind of did
today.
one song, right? And she was
Yeah.
singing in the background with Tom.
With the Sam song.
But she and Tom have a song also coming up it's actually part of Bombshell. It's part of the show Bombshell, and it's called The Right Regrets. So I think that kind of is giving us a little bit. It's one of the original songs by Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman. So going to get to see her sing, and but the title of that song sort of suggests that there's some reflection going on, and talking about things like her divorce, and maybe letting Peter go. I don't know.
Maybe Scott will be in the audience for that song.
Maybe so. Well, and when we saw them meet at the restaurant, why do we know why she was calling Scott? Why she'd been calling him and he won't return her calls? Is it theater related or friendship related, or
I
does
thought
anybody
it
have
was
any
just
speculation about that?
after she had run into him, she maybe remembered what she had done, and she's been trying to have that conversation that she was able to have tonight, and over the phone, the apology. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think there was just some unfinished business, and she just, now that I've seen you, I want to get back in touch with you. I think that was all it was. Yeah.
Okay.
That, and because they're gonna be love interests.
You're funny.
Well, I mean, seriously, why else would you introduce this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was no other way to kind of bring that up to
Unless-
us, to the
Let's
audience.
hope it's not one of those other quick resolve things that happens.
Yeah, now we're done.
Well,
Apology
I
tip.
mean, we've still got
Goodbye,
10.
Scott.
We still have 9 episodes left in
Yeah.
the season, so we're quite literally just halfway through today. So things are gonna start getting ramped up, I assume.
It's gonna happen that they're gonna get back. They're gonna be in some way in relationship. They're gonna start really having a romance, and then all of a sudden, they're gonna be put in the exact same position where she's gonna have to
Make a decision.
Exactly, where she could
yeah.
leave him behind or whatever, and that's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
See if she screws it up again, or she goes for love.
Or friendship.
John, you're giving a prediction.
Oh, sorry.
Look at you.
I'll stop.
Let's talk about the songs in tonight's episode. We had a little bit of a reprise, thank you, with Ivy singing Let Me Be Your Star, just about a third of the song.
Sounded really good.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
And it sounded live to tape. Like, it was obviously not live, but
Right.
like she was just recording it live one take.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
wish
not
they did
as
that
produced, yeah.
a little bit, because when Jimmy was singing, sometimes he wasn't singing, and then you could still hear him, but it's supposed to be a performance.
Same thing happened with Sam a little bit. He was
Yeah.
sitting at the and he was just completely out of sync with the video and the audio were completely out of sync. But it didn't bother me that much. But I do agree that it was nice to see it, really work.
Yeah.
In that song. I thought it was amazing, and it's one of those ones that we've been attached to since obviously the very first episode.
Yes.
So it was nice to have it come back, and boy did she belt that thing out.
Yeah.
I just wish she wasn't so timid.
No, exactly.
And okay, rewind to the beginning of the first season, but she, aside from all the crazy stuff that she did, she was always my Marilyn pick. And I remember I would get in trouble by you guys in
Yes.
the beginning. You'd be like, no, Karen's supposed to be Marilyn. But she always was Marilyn in my mind, and
Right.
I think this performance is why
You
she's
feel validated, don't you?
I feel validated.
I feel superior to the rest of us, don't you?
My Marilyn is back.
Oh,
I'm still Team Karen.
You win, you win.
I stand by my team.
Next, we had Sam, Leslie Odom Jr., sing Let's Start Tomorrow Tonight. Thoughts on that song?
He's
I loved it.
adorable.
Yes.
Good.
I loved it. I thought the wordplay was great, and he gave a great description of it last week on the phone call
Yes.
about what kind of music, and I think he delivered in that regard. So it makes me even more anxious to hear his album.
His album, yeah.
Yes.
And the Kickstarter campaign that's going on.
Yeah, I want to talk a little more about the song, but do we know where his campaign is right now?
So he's got a $30,000 goal
Right.
to complete this album project, and right now he's at $11,600.
So and he was saying it was a 30-day goal, so it was $1,000 a day, and he's 7 days in, or
So
8,
so
depending on how
he's
he's
a little
counting. So he's
ahead
a little
right
ahead,
now.
which is great. It's a little hard to continue that momentum sometimes, though.
Yeah.
So let's hope he continues to, and look for his Kickstarter campaign for his album, you guys out there. One of the things I noticed specifically about that song was he has an amazing range.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really getting up there in the high notes.
The
and
end
Yes.
note where he was just
Yes.
like riffing and
Yes.
he did go really high was so good. He's such a talented person.
and seeing his face light up when he sings is really
Yeah.
a delight as well. So I love that part of it. Kendra, do you have any thoughts about the song?
I thought it was great and reminiscent, of course, of Nat King Cole and that style. So it's refreshing to hear that.
It is.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the things I was thinking about too was, you know, we've got like Michael Bublé, who really sings the standards kind of as they were written, and at least in this song, it almost was. It's not so much that he's modernizing the songs, but kind of bringing a little bit of a more contemporary feel to the songs. And I'm a big Michael Bublé fan. I don't want to can't say his name,
but his music is amazing.
but I love his music. But I really loved how this kind of classic sounding song had a little bit of a modern feel to it, so you weren't feeling like you were listening to a golden oldie.
Right. It was a piece of him in it, I think.
Yeah,
Of Leslie.
I thought it was fantastic. I'm really looking
And
forward
he's
to
a
this
great
album.
dancer too.
Yes.
With his what was that? An umbrella? A cane?
Yes.
He was holding something.
Yes.
Cane.
A cane.
Cane.
Hat cane. We'll go with that.
Hat cane. Yes.
They're new.
Well, I think
Kendra.
he just showed he's a consummate performer. The guy's an
Yeah.
entertainer through and through. That's
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
there you go.
The next song we had was When I Heard Your Voice in a Dream, I think is the name of the song, or When I Heard Your Voice. Jimmy.
Was that when they
Thoughts?
had all the obstacles in front of them?
Yes, the
That's-
obstacles.
yeah.
I want you to talk about the obstacles, John, because I'm sure you have an opinion. So it's Karen on one scaffold,
Right.
Jimmy on the other scaffold. There are obstacles, and Derek yells, "Obstacles, come on out!"
Well, I could look at it this way that you know, they're in the beginning of the rehearsal, so they're still finding itself. And, you know,
yes.
that's where I was going with it, because some of the choreography was a little too literal for me.
Yes.
And then I really had a hard time with Karen with her arm being raised up to. She just looked like, what is she? It looked like there was nothing behind what she was doing. And I'm
I
going,
totally agree
what
with
happened? There was a moment there. She had nothing behind it, and I wanted to see
Yes.
it. Where
Yeah.
was it?
Well,
that. Go ahead.
well, yeah, I felt like there was so much energy that was put into choreographing what was going on with Jimmy and the
Yeah.
obstacles, that they're like, oh
They
crap,
gave her
we
nothing to
forgot
play.
to think about what Karen's doing
Yeah.
during
Right.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Weren't they just working through it, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, the early and the-
it's the early stages of
Yeah.
rehearsal, so they're still working it out.
So it-
But you still have to, if you're going to do that, I think it's important to nod to that, because it's ostensibly put together as a piece to view as an audience for the TV audience, and it being that, I was like, eh.
Well, and you know, in
You have
other
to-
pieces that they've done, they did the song last week where we went from us sitting in the theater to the
Right.
interpretation of what we think the show will be like when
Yeah.
it and we've done that a few times with
Right.
Hit List. So I wondered why they sort of didn't do it with the dancers on this.
And exactly, and it also goes to the point we've made a couple of times over the last few weeks, is they seem to be in the middle. If it's in rehearsal or if it's in progress, then we should know that, and that should be part of the milieu,
The presentation
so to
of
speak.
it,
Or
yes.
it should be a finished piece, so we should know that. But it's left to us, and I don't think that's a good place to be, because you need to get the people going, wow, that's amazing, or go, that's pretty cool, I love the way they did it, because it's raw, it feels
Right.
fresh. They're in neither spot.
Right,
then-
and so it goes flat.
exactly.
I also felt like the obstacles, I was trying to figure out, were they supposed to mean something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if this is what you mean by literal, but for me, the idea of there being obstacles between them, it's relationships with other people, it's jobs, it's geography, it's whatever it is that they
Right.
want to present as the obstacle. And I wasn't interpreting any of those dance moves as being any of those
There were
situations.
2 or 3 moves. There was he was talking about how his heart needed to be something about
Oh
his
God,
heart.
and he
they
did
were-
that?
They did it for him, and I'm going.
Yeah.
It just felt literal, and I just prefer my choreography. It isn't that literal.
To be more symbolic. And, yeah.
But speaking to your point, yeah, I couldn't figure out any specifics as to what the obstacles were.
Yeah.
I thought
They
that
were just
might have
people
been-
standing in the way going like this.
Well, I saw some of it at one point. It all looked like they were sitting, and maybe he was on a bus or
Yeah.
something. I caught
Yeah.
that, and then a few times the girls were like throwing themselves at him, so I think that was supposed to be his being caught up in other relationships.
Okay.
Just based off of how some of them like threw themselves at him and he threw them away, and then other ones he let linger.
Okay,
but then
then
eventually,
maybe,
liked
maybe
about
it
it
was
was-
just there and I didn't see it.
Well,
that
the thing
that
I
could
liked about it was
absolutely
it
be the
was
case.
very kinetic and it was a lot of fun.
Yes, I do like that.
That part of
as
it I
well.
thought was fantastic.
Uh-huh.
It was enjoyable to watch. There were just a couple things that I was like,
Yeah.
but then what it did is it took me out of the piece by having to remind me, oh, that's right, they're just still in
They're
progress.
in rehearsal.
And
Yeah.
I'm supposed to, but I don't know. It just
The other thing about that song I wanted to mention was I thought the orchestration was really beautiful. And if you, I mean, we've only heard the song once, so if you don't have it in your head, you won't notice it. But if you guys have it TiVoed or something, go back and listen to it because the orchestration was really beautiful. And I like Jimmy's voice.
yeah.
That's pretty much what I have to say about
he
him.
does have a good voice, and I like the song too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Then we had Anna singing "If I Were a Boy," a Beyonce song.
I just look at Kendra. 'Cause
I know.
She
You guys
loved
are waiting.
that
Yeah,
song.
what did Kendra think about it?
Yes, Kendra, do tell. What do you think about that song?
I wasn't into it. I love Beyonce's song.
Was it because it was a Beyonce song?
Maybe it was because it was a Beyonce song.
Well,
It
I have
was,
to ask. Go ahead.
No, I think it was because I like Beyonce's version. Obviously, it was her song.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't expect that coming from Anna.
I have
Right.
to ask. I don't know the song. Sorry. Apologize to you Beyonce fans out there. But what I didn't understand was it's a song she's trying to get a role as a diva. And she didn't really sing a song like a diva.
No.
No.
Right.
So not exactly
yeah.
what she was showing of her personality to say, hey, look, I can be that role.
I think she was trying to be a little kind of feisty
yeah,
or something.
but that's the point. It was a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't see,
I
the
don't know how that-
belting out or the presence that
And
Ivy
with a
and
title
Karen
like
bring.
Bells and Whistles and you're going to be a diva, there were no bells and whistles
Right.
to really show me you are a diva.
Mhm.
Right.
She was singing about like a heartbreak song,
Right.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? I thought it was a interesting interpretation though. It was a little bit more rocky. It seemed more Anna, and yeah, it wasn't Beyonce,
Yeah,
but
she
that's just
changed.
like a completely different, genre
Style.
of music. So I thought the interpretation was interesting, but I agree.
But it
it's
didn't
like,
appeal
why
to
are
you.
you
Yeah.
why are you singing that song of all the songs?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about like, well, maybe in real life her range is not so. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not as wide as the other singers, and this is the only one that she.
But
could
you know,
kinda-
you could even if it's not the range, there's so many ways you could play a song
Right.
without having any range and show all kinds of diviness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She doesn't look like a diva. I know I was joking
She's
earlier.
a bit of a
she should've-
pixie look.
Yeah, I was joking earlier. She should have sang Beyonce's Diva. There's a song
Right.
called Diva, I don't think she should
That
touch
wouldn't have
any of those.
Huh.
But she doesn't. She doesn't look the part at all.
Yeah.
I was again. I said in the screening room, like, well, maybe with a wig and a different outfit change and
But this is
a different song. She didn't bring down the
she was-
house. She
but
was standing on
also-
a bar top.
But
singing
and that's
at
why
home,
I
so-
don't. I go, but that by her not doing that, it makes. I question Derek. I go, what did you see?
Maybe he was drinking. They were
I
all
think he
drinking.
probably
there.
was. I loved his reactions during that song.
Yeah.
He was very entertaining
he
to
was
watch.
entertaining.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even the number was entertaining. I was, she did a fine job. It just
Yeah.
didn't seem like a diva. And I'm going,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you're trying to get a diva role, and this is the number you pick?
yeah.
It just didn't. I didn't understand it. So I put because you know the song. I don't know the song. You know,
She
I'm
changed
supposed-
some of the lyrics, but it still didn't work.
It
for
didn't
me.
really work. Yeah.
But with her looking like a diva, it was supposed to be a impromptu moment, so she wasn't gonna plan I'm gonna wear this and
Yeah.
Of course.
and do that or whatever.
But she downed the liquid courage, and I thought this is gonna
We're
be
gonna
great. She's
get
gonna
it.
bring attitude. It's gonna be amazing. A 12 on a scale of 10, and then it's like, what happened to the attitude?
Is
Where
this a
did the
6?
diviness
Maybe a
go?
5.
Maybe it was just a Coke or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
Karen, what the heck?
Just
Why
not
did you get a
enough
diet
caffeine.
Pepsi?
It's caffeine free Coke
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wondering who directed this episode. Didn't somebody say we're gonna need a little bit more diva from you?
Yeah.
Because I can't believe that if you're the actress and you're saying, oh, I have to do a
This is
diva
my
thing,
chance.
and then you don't bring that. I mean, I would think that you would go crazy to say, oh, this is my chance to be a diva. Who doesn't
Right.
want to be a diva?
Right.
Right.
I just think the song is a hard choice to do. I mean, it's not really a come look at me song unless you're Beyonce and you're going to look at her anyways. But if for anybody, for pretty much anybody else, unless it was Jennifer Hudson going up there, which I was thinking, bring Veronica back for the Diva role. They're buddies. She's looking to break out into something.
She's off touring with her new album.
True.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up the analysis of the show. Do we have any news and gossip tonight, ladies?
We do.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So they just announced another not looking so great for Smash. Deborah Messing joins CBS pilot, and Messing will play Shira, if I'm saying that correct, a married mom trying to balance her home and work life in the pilot. And
How is she gonna do that and write a Bombshell? Oh, I see.
exactly, and it's with CBS, and it even says in the article, which was on The Wire, which is the series for Smash, which has suffered low ratings, is being shuffled to Saturday night. It's generally a low rating night for TV, and the CBS series, meanwhile, is based in CBS television studios. So it's
In L.A.
It says is based on an Israeli format and comes from CBS television studios. So I would imagine, the one in LA.
It says she's in second position or whatever, so she's like the second name for that role.
Yeah.
Should Smash?
Yeah, it says meaning NBC
Get
has
canceled.
first dibs on her if Smash is renewed, but the casting is far from a vote of confidence on her part that Smash will return. So the fact that she's even out there looking,
Right, and the tweets that we read
It's not
last
good.
week, it definitely doesn't look good.
unless they renew Smash and she's not in it, but
Well, that's a possibility as well, I suppose. Boy, we thought we had a lot of retooling between season 1 and 2. That would be...
She's gonna go chase after.
She's going to go to London
Yeah.
and go see Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. Kendra?
Breaking news. Thursday night, American Idol, which Catherine McPhee was season 5 runner-up in. She returns to the Fox show for a special performance with One Republic. She'll lend guest vocals to the group's latest single, If I Lose Myself, which appears on One Republic's new album, Native, which is out today.
Oh. That's exciting.
and happy belated birthday to Catherine McPhee. Sarah brought that up.
Oh, yeah,
It was her
you were out
birthday.
with her. Or
Yeah, weren't
something.
you? Was it you who was out with her?
Me?
Or no, it was Sarah.
It was
It was
Sarah.
Sarah.
The other night and the night before that.
Oh, wow.
In different
Look
bars.
at you.
Nice.
Good weekend.
Happy birthday, Catherine McPhee.
Keep her occupied, and I'll take Derek for the evening.
Well, I
Don't tell
think
my
that
boyfriend.
ends our news and gossip. Yeah, wraps up our news and gossip.
Yes.
All right, let's go to quick predictions.
I did mine already.
Well, yeah, you did. We're halfway through the season, so...
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Oh my gosh. Someone else needs to go before me.
Well, we're going to see Ivy's mom come back. I think that is going to cause some serious issues for Ivy in the role. That's kind of an obvious prediction, but I think it's going to put the show slightly in jeopardy once again. But
Because
I
of
think
the
it'll do well.
artistic conflict on stage kind of thing, or the backstage?
I think that, and just the fact that Ivy always seems so intimidated by her mom, and she has her mom on set who's this big star.
Yeah.
We saw last
Maybe
time
not
that
artistic
causes...
challenges.
Just
but
I think
interpersonal
familial-
challenges.
familial
Yeah.
Well, and then how is that going to be for Tom directing the mom?
Yeah.
And
Right.
probably giving her slightly more attention, or, you know, her mom's going to be telling Ivy what to do on stage, and that's going to undermine Tom as well. So,
Next week's episode is called The Parents.
Ooh.
So,
well, and Karen's dad.
yes, Karen's dad coming
Maybe
back
they
as well.
should hook up.
Well, and potentially we could have Sam's parents be coming into this as well, because remember they were such a big part of his family and him getting together. So that's going to be my prediction, that Sam's parents might come back and have something to do with next week. You too?
Goodness.
Well, I'm excited to find out about Jimmy. I think that he was involved in some sort of drug dealing.
Yes.
That's my prediction.
There was money and little baggies of white powder, so that looked like drugs to me.
Unless he's a gigolo or something like that.
Right.
I think I predict that Kyle's gonna go steady with his new.
I think
The guy he was swapping spit with.
Yeah.
As
Finally,
they say in my
Kyle,
family.
get some action.
Yeah.
I remember they showed that, we're all like, woo!
I know.
He was cute.
He was.
was
I liked
nice.
that. I thought that was fun.
Get
So,
some Kyle.
well, I guess that wraps it up for us. Ladies, tell us where we can find you. Sarah?
You can find me on Twitter at Sarah with an H Mendoza.
I'm on Twitter at Kendra Kabasele.
I'm on Twitter, Kristin Carole 13.
I am Tamara Berg on Twitter. Also, my website is tamaracentral.com. And you see me on Home and Family on Friday. John, where can we find you?
No place.
Doing Justified.
Doing Justified.
And House of Cards here at AfterBuzz. Marissa?
I am on Twitter at SeraphiniTV, and I also do Glee and Once Upon a Time.
Okay, well, that does it for us. We will see you next week for the first after the midpoint episode into the home stretch of Smash. See you then.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.